Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 287 of your favourite Formula 1 show. Yes, Knowing Wheel returns with our second episode of the week. We're back today to preview the Chinese Grand Prix, the first sprint weekend of 2026. Of course, as always, I'm joined by Jamie183, and we've actually got quite a bit of news to get through.
Yeah, we have. I guess that's a virtue of doing the first race straight after the race finished. There's a little bit of fallout from that, and just a bunch of other stuff has happened in the last 3 days. So, yeah, here we are. We've got a lot to talk about in Japan. In China. I just read the notes and skipped ahead. And, yeah, sprint race, which even when they knew how to set the cars up, sprint races were always quite fun because they got one practice session and then got straight into the race. So, yeah, we will see.
I still think having a sprint race as literally the second race weekend of the year, especially at a track like Shanghai, is ludicrously evil. But because we're not having to deal with it, it's quite good fun. And like we said, obviously,
yeah.
I mean, literally saw Ferrari claim their only win last year in definitely what was a race-legal car. But it really does, obviously, especially this year. We could see quite a mix-up in the order, especially obviously in the midfield that is still a lot tighter than we anticipated it would be based on Australia. It's really going to kind of emphasise which cars are a bit easier to set up, which teams have got a good idea as to the car they've got underneath them as well. Because obviously, unlike Australia, that is just all straights and obviously very power-orientated, Shanghai is actually arguably one of the best all-round circuits in the sport. You got a mix of high-speed corners, low-speed corners, short corners, obviously longer corners, obviously a huge back straight. It's one of the only circuits that feels like it's still got a bit of everything.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously Herman Tilke did a very good job like in the early 2000s designing the likes of China, Bahrain, Sepang, arguably throw Korea in there as well.
It's almost like Herman
Turkey.
Tilke was actually not that bad at designing circuits when he didn't have to put them on city streets. It's almost like that's the problem. Because
the last all-round proper circuit he made was probably Kota, wasn't it? Like from scratch.
Yeah, gotta be.
Without it needing to be in a street.
Yeah.
So, unless I'm forgetting an obvious one, but yeah, they're all good when he's actually not been hamstrung by a city centre. Yeah, I love China. My first ever league race win at Shanghai.
Here we go.
Against Matt.
Here we go.
Matt got a puncture on the last lap.
That was almost 10 years ago now, Jamie, and yet you're still here reliving it like it's your greatest achievement.
Absolutely. Yeah, and not only setup is going to be difficult for these one practice session, but also the power deploy, because these batteries, I know China you can harvest a bit better than Melbourne, but there's no way you're going to be able to deploy as much as you want to, especially on that long back straight. So
will you not be able to deploy where you want to? Because let's be fair, you can use it at turn 3, a little bit of pickup, back up the hill out of the hairpin, obviously the back straight and the front straight, and even out of the final hairpin as well. You know, I think we always are kind of worried that there's not going to be, unless you're going like somewhere like Monaco, you're just going to use battery for the sake of using battery. You're always better off feeling like you're trying to use more of it than don't have enough.
Yeah, that's true. But in Melbourne, they were LICOing everywhere. I know Melbourne's a special case.
Yeah.
But
Melbourne now is basically just a big square.
Yeah. It's kind of, we're reaping the rewards of a few years ago when every circuit tried to make itself have longer straights and harsher braking zones. And now we almost want the opposite of more braking zones and more corners. But it's too late to go back. Well, it's not. They could change Melbourne back, I suppose, but not this year. So
it'd be pointless this year to change it back. It's not going to happen again.
No, true.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I think Shanghai is probably going to be a bit better. I feel like Suzuka might be a bit more of a struggle again next weekend. But of course, they are already, in a bid not to jump the gun, they are already considering some rule changes after either Shanghai or Suzuka. It would probably make more sense to do it after Japan, simply for the idea that we're still not really sure whether Bahrain and Jeddah is going to happen. Although apparently we should be getting news on that, I believe, on the 20th is when they're meant to be making a final choice. Yeah,
because of all the logistics and supply chain issues in terms of getting stuff to Bahrain, is Bahrain before Jeddah on the calendar? I think so. Basically we have to find out before the 20th because by the 20th, teams will start sending stuff there by sea freight. So it will need to be decision made by then. Otherwise, yeah. And I'm almost certain it won't go ahead, if I'm honest, given the current state of the world. But
well, bizarrely though, on the other hand, Jeddah literally last night announced their music lineup for the weekend. It's like Pitbull's going to be here, and you went, is he? Are you sure?
Really? That's surprising. And that was this weekend coming. They're having a show.
No, for the Grand Prix.
Oh, okay, right. Well, that's just an announcement that they're going to make before it's cancelled, basically, isn't it? So,
well, the Pitbull's going to be here to perform in front of no one.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Pitbull
believe me,
might be there
Jamie,
anyway.
if that sounds rough, he's been there and he's done that.
Yeah, fair enough. I think they're really worried about Suzuka. I know I'm jumping the gun a bit, but the onboard for qualifying is going to be horrific in that first sector because they will be lifting and coasting everywhere because there's one big braking zone at Suzuka, maybe two, and harvesting is going to be a big problem there. So,
but you also get quite a lot of lift and coast at Suzuka.
Yeah, you do, but then that's not what. Like, can you imagine Sebastian Vettel? He'd be turning in his grave if he was dead.
If he was dead.
Like, that first sector is going to be so depressing to watch the onboards.
But you're not flat out through there anyway. You're grip limited anyway.
They'll be even less flat out. The first couple of those, which were flat out last year, you're going to be, like, not anywhere near the limit of grip, I don't think.
Yeah, possibly. I guess we'll have to wait and see, won't we? I mean, normally on qualifying runs, it's not as bad, but I guess the other problem, of course, with Suzuka is obviously most of the flat-out parts are towards the end of the lap, which is obviously therefore a bit. Obviously, at least with Australia, it was kind of the last part of the lap is the slow speed, kind of twisty, narrow stuff. Obviously, Suzuka, it is all about basically saving your battery to deploy out of spoon, because obviously it's the longest run. Which means on
quali they would not be doing anything in the first sector. They would just be basically using Lyco as much as possible.
Jamie, we've talked about this before, and obviously I'm definitely blaming the cars right now rather than the track. Suzuka might just not be that great a Formula 1 venue anymore. Is that controversial to say?
It's not controversial, but it's a great track.
It's the cars that are the issue, yeah.
In quali, it was still class last year. That lap from Max was incredible to put it on pole.
Yeah.
But this year, they've even taken that away from us because the quali laps will be... Did you watch George Russell's onboard for his pole lap in Melbourne?
Yes, I did.
It was so unbelievably slow.
I love the fact as well this year they've added commentary onto them because obviously people were complaining about all the Lyco. So by a shouty man talking over it, you won't be able to notice anymore. FYI, F1, if you need someone to commentate those laps, I'm available. I'll do that for a small fee. So we'll make sure I get a known wheel plug in there as well.
Yeah, talking about the simplification of F1 and hiding things, what do you think of the decimal places on the timing tower?
We talked about this last week. Until we actually know how they're doing this, it's a bit hard to say. Are they rounding up from like 0.49 down, 0.5 up? Are they just rounding down? Are they just rounding up? Like, this is the problem, obviously, in most sport. Yeah, in football, you don't need a millisecond on your clock or anything like that. But in F1, you kind of do. Obviously, I would have been even more upset if they'd done it in qualifying. That would be insanity.
Oh, yeah.
If it was just rounded to the nearest 0.1 of a second. But
you know what? I don't really mind. I think it makes a lot of sense legibility-wise on the timing tower, but I would like it if when two cars are close to each other and they're maybe on the
maybe if they're within 2 seconds.
Or even 1 second, or like 1.5, it just goes back to 2 or 3 decimal places. But for the most part, if someone's like 9.4 seconds behind someone, I don't need to know that it's 9.423.
Yeah, I did, like I said, I think we've hit the nail on the head there. If it was anything under, like I said, either 1.5 or 2 seconds, because of course then that does matter a bit more. It is quite useful. But yeah, if you're 10 seconds, I mean, I can't remember who it was put it online as well, of course. Even the teams, unless you're really, really close to someone, and which of course, obviously, you're probably not getting that information anyway, the teams will say the gap is 9 seconds, or you took 2 tenths out of him last lap.
Exactly. And I think everyone's kicking off a bit too much about it, if I'm honest. But
this is Formula 1 fans, Jamie. We're not happy about anything, ever.
Here's an idea. Point. They should get the timing tower, and when it's on interval mode, which it usually is, let's be real, because otherwise it would be George Russell, Kimi Antonelli, +1 lap, +1 lap, +1 lap.
The Ferraris are there.
Yeah, maybe.
I just realised,
think...
sorry to completely segue there because I haven't spoken about it. I just literally realised I'm wearing a McLaren top and a Ferrari hat, and I look like the most DTS fan in the world. I didn't think about this before we started.
Yeah, they should do the intervals, and then they should have the one decimal place for everyone, unless it's within 1.5 seconds. In which case, you kind of highlight it to show, two cars are kind of close, and then you make it 3 decimal places like it used to be. The only problem is if the race is dead, you're basically drawing attention to it because there's no 3 decimals anywhere.
Yeah, but I guess obviously the sport is. I mean, we remember the days when most gaps were at least 4 or 5 seconds around a lot of venues, and obviously people just couldn't overtake and that kind of thing. So we've kind of moved past that, haven't we? But it's still far from perfect. Jamie, I'm going to give him some credit here, because he actually messaged me yesterday with something that normally when Jamie we don't really talk a lot outside of, but most of Jamie and I's messages are me saying 8 a.m. ? And him sending me a thumbs up emoji, so we know when we're chatting. But you actually sent me a really interesting stat that not stat, but kind of fact that you'd worked out yesterday, that if F2 is in real trouble, if Bahrain and Jeddah are cancelled.
Yeah, it is. And it'll go ahead, as in the F2 season will be fine, but it's just a little bit ridiculous. Because we've obviously had round 1 in Melbourne.
Which always is weird in itself.
Yeah, which has been at the start of March, I remember. So, if round Jeddah and Bahrain, which is 2 and 3 in F2, are both cancelled, which I'm of the opinion they will be, and they won't be replaced, the next round of F2 is the first weekend of June in Monaco. And that's
3
just
months.
absolutely insane.
3 months.
3 months gap.
It's almost as bad as the break at the end of the year for F2.
Well, yeah, so F2 would then be round 1 in March, round 2 to 7 between June and July. And then round 8 is a month later, and 9 and 10 are all in September. And then the last 2 rounds are in November and December.
And they could be cancelled anyway.
Yeah, so we might end up with F2 being like F3.
We might literally end up in F2 this year where we get out of Baku. We've got 2 races to go. Be back in November. It's 8 points in it between, I don't know, Alex Dum and I'm calling him Alex Dum now based on that move. Yeah, and Nicholas Solov. I hope that's not the championship fight. I'll be honest. And it's there's 8 points between them with 2 race weekends to go. And they're cancelled, and Nicholas Solov has won it despite not knowing he's won it, which would be
exactly. I think if that does happen, obviously the last 2 races are Qatar and Abu Dhabi, so obviously they're at risk at the moment, but that's many months away still. So if they were looking more likely to be cancelled, I'd imagine they would just do something mad and take F2 cars to Kota or something, which they could do because they've done W Series there or Formula Academy. So
Las Vegas,
as it's known now. Vegas would be class, but I don't.
The thing is, I'd rather see F2. Kota, like I said, would probably be a good shout. I'd want to see him do Brazil. Brazil, I mean, imagine Mexico turn 1. 8 cars are gone.
My word. Yeah. Also, we didn't talk about F2 at the weekend. Alex Dunn, what on earth was he doing?
Well, why do you think I just called him Alex Dumb?
Yeah. You know what? I think he's quick, but he's a bit of a liability, isn't he?
He's literally... He's Dan
the
Ticktum.
Irish Dan Ticktum.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit of a shame to see at the moment because I hope.
Did you hear his radio as well?
Yeah, I saw it all. I watched it live. I was very confused and annoyed.
And their teammates.
Yeah,
and in round 1, he's like, "Well, that's him never finishing ahead of me again." It's pure league racing rage.
Oh, exactly, exactly. I mean, it's between that and the Wharton and Slater incident in F3 down at Prema. You think. Maybe we're getting to the point now where there's just too... I mean, we've been at that point for a very long time. Maybe there's too many rich kids with money that don't understand consequences. It is that horrible reality in a lot of racing series nowadays. I know it's the same in NASCAR as well. Because it's so money-driven and there isn't much danger anymore, you do get now an alarming amount of people that obviously... because there is no risk of... or no real risk of getting seriously injured, people just... I don't care is the wrong word, but people are willing to take insane risk, and it kind of ruins the show.
You sound like Felipe Massa after Canada 2014. That's exactly what he said. Was these kids from F2 referring to Sergio Perez?
Yes,
at the time.
yeah.
They just don't know how to race properly because they've never raced with a big risk.
Yeah, it's true. And it's got even
Yeah.
worse in the last 10 years.
But that was 12 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
But then since then, the FIA have not clamped down on it at all.
No, in fact, if anything,
Verstappen as
they've
a
gone on
15-year-old.
and encouraged it and ruined the sport in a major way. But there you go. That's a topic for another day.
That's a tangent we won't go down today.
Exactly. We got a few other bits and pieces, Jamie. This probably should have been how we clickbait at the start of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Knowing Wheel. This week's news: Max Verstappen has joined Mercedes.
He has. He's doing the Nürburgring 24 hours, which is sick. And it's GT... Is it GT3?
GT3, yes. I don't know why you're doing this segue. You'll know nothing, will you, about this?
Yeah, I don't know anything. I know that it's a Mercedes he's driving, and it's backed by Red Bull. So it's a Red Bull liveried Mercedes car.
Yes.
Throwback to the 2002 Sauber, whatever it was, the Petronas Red Bull.
Yep.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm excited for Max, and he's obviously doing it with some co-drivers. I saw Danny Yucandella is in there.
Yep.
That's my knowledge for the day.
Yeah, Danny
And a few
Yucandella,
others.
I believe Lucas Hour as well, I want to say. And one other, of course, because normally at Nerv you run, obviously, 4 drivers in your team. So, yeah, obviously Red Bull back Mercedes. I'm just trying to remember that last name. Verstappen, Danny Yucandella, Lucas Hour, and Jules Gounon as well. So, 3 huge GT3 names. Juncker, as far as I remember as well, also races with Verstappen on iRacing. So I think they're genuinely quite close personal friends. Bizarrely, though, Lucas Hour is actually a Porsche factory driver. Or was a Porsche factory driver. But I think they've been slowly culling their drivers out for this year. And obviously Jules Gounon as well has been around the block in endurance racing for a very long time. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of eyes on this team for Nerv 24. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to it, because I always enjoy watching Nerv 24 anyway. And it was kind of, not guaranteed, but highly speculated this was going to happen. Because, of course, the Nürburgring moved the 24-hour race day, so it didn't clash with F1. But he was literally there, as far as I gather, on Monday or Tuesday, doing GT3 testing. So he literally went from Australia, I think flew home Sunday night, went to the Nürburgring, I guess it must have been Tuesday, it must have been yesterday with flight times, or he went Monday afternoon, if he flew home literally immediately. And then he's going to have to fly back to China this weekend.
Yeah. I guess flying is less difficult when you've got your own jet.
Probably.
And, it's probably quite comfortable compared to the flights we've been on.
Hey, I flew business class once on a 1-hour flight. It was great.
Really?
Yeah.
My best is economy.
I got a great story for this, though. It's a complete tangent. But, you know, obviously, like, when you're, like, 2 days out before a flight, they email you going, oh, like, you can bid to upgrade. So I said to last 2 until I was like, oh, it's only 50 quid to bid to upgrade. I was like, I never would bid higher than the bottom of price range. But I was like, it comes with free lunch as well and a couple of other bits. It actually paid for itself, the 50 quid upgrade. So I bid on it, not thinking anything of it. The morning of our flight, it was like, oh, you've upgraded. I was like, oh, great. Best bit about it, though, JB, that made it worth it, was we were queuing up for the flight in a special line, and a woman tapped me on the shoulder and went, this is the business class line. And I went, we know. She was only in premium economy, so the look I gave her when she walked past me on that flight as I was sat in business class was worth the £50 itself, and I will never regret it.
That is brilliant. Were you dressed for the occasion?
No, I was not. I don't dress for flights. It's
that
not
might
the 1960s.
be why you got a tap on the shoulder.
I could not care less. She was in premium economy, and I so wanted to give her, well, a rude hand gesture. It was honestly one of the greatest moments of my life.
You should have sent her some of your caviar.
I didn't want to waste it on her.
Yeah, fair. Right, what are we talking about? F1, that's the run.
Well, we're not even. We're talking about Nürburgring 24 currently.
Yes. Do you think Max will win the Nürburgring 24?
I don't think he will, simply for the fact that it's so unpredictable. I would never predict anyone to win it.
Fair.
It's
okay.
a brutal race. Sorry?
Someone's got to win it.
Someone's got to win it, absolutely. But it is a brutal race. I mean, the last few years it's actually been plagued by fog and other weather, which has kind of caused it some problems. But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously, between him and the other 3 drivers as well, of course, I believe have all either won NERB or won, one of the big endurance races globally as well. That is a ridiculously stacked lineup. Wouldn't surprise me if they start on pole, but I can also see Verstappen maybe getting himself tangled up in an incident or something like that at some point. or one of the others.
It might be his only win of the season based on how quick.
You go take a look after this episode of the Lucas Hour. If you type in Lucas Hour Nürburgring flip from, I think it was either last year or the year before, it is a massive crash.
I'm thinking Mark Webber in the...
No, not like that. Not like that. No.
Where he took off, but no.
No, you don't.
Mark Webber had a weird knack at flying in a car that was designed to stay on the ground.
He always was impressive with that. That was just Mark Webber. It's because he liked to be upside down because he's Australian. That's all it ever
trying
was.
to get back to the roots.
Yes, exactly. Anything else we've got to talk about, Jamie? Williams reckon it's going to take...
we haven't talked about
Carry on.
F1 at all yet.
We have?
I guess there's a few team things that need to talk about. So Williams, for instance, James Vowles says it's going to take 6 rounds to shave the weight off, which apparently is around 28 kilograms, which is a lot of weight.
Yeah. That's probably nearly half of us.
It's nearly half of me, yeah. That's mad.
One of each of our arms. Actually, probably more than that. One of each of our legs.
Exactly. So 6 rounds, I'd imagine that means including the rounds that might get cancelled.
It'll be Europe, won't it? Return to Europe. It'll be after Miami.
Yeah. And for now, Williams genuinely seem like their 9th fastest team. And the head of that midfield could be any one of 4 teams, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, they're kind of better than Cadillac and Aston, aren't they? But behind everybody else.
Yeah, and the Audi, Alpine, Haas and VCarb, certainly based on Melbourne, look like the head of the midfield. Any of those could be the head of the midfield at any given weekend.
Yeah.
And Williams aren't there at the moment, and that's obviously the bare minimum of where they want to be, given they've been hyping up these rule sets for 3 years. So yeah, that's a shame for them, shame for Albon and Sainz, but I think they'll get there.
Yeah, no, I think obviously Williams, like we said, he might well be that this year's a bit of a down year for them, but again, historically, in the most recent regs, they haven't actually done that well in 2022 either, and I know obviously they've hyped this reg change up a lot more, but it always kind of feels like Williams end up taking a bit of a dip in performance in terms of expectations, and then kind of go a bit better, and then get a bit worse, and then get a bit better again. Williams never kind of end up exactly where you think they should. Or maybe they will this year with my predictions.
Possibly. Yeah. And Williams, they're obviously a customer Mercedes team, which helps them out because that seems like the strongest package at the moment.
Yes.
Or it certainly is in the works team.
Yeah.
But it isn't for the customers at the moment. McLaren in particular.
Yeah.
Very vocal.
I don't get this.
About... Yeah, McLaren were basically complaining a lot about how good the Mercedes Works team had their battery deploy in qualifying.
Yeah. Andrea Stella, I think, from coming obviously from Ferrari in the past and, working obviously with Works teams, doesn't seem to understand that McLaren isn't a Works team.
Yeah, it's a customer.
And a full-on customer. It's not even like the old McLaren Mercedes days or even, McLaren Mercedes when Mercedes were on the grid early on. They are now just a Mercedes customer team in the same way that, bizarrely, obviously now Alpine are, Williams are, as well. They don't get special treatment. Now, I can understand because apparently there was a rumour going around that Mercedes gave the other teams the final kind of engine very, very late on. And obviously, they can obviously wrangle a little bit with the FIA of kind of going, we're already testing this engine at the moment. Obviously, by the rules now, they have to give the other teams an identical spec engine to what they're running. But of course, obviously, they don't really have to warn them in advance. They kind of just have to say, look, you're going to be getting this engine now. Well, what's changed on it? You'll find out when you get it.
Well, exactly.
They that's one of the perks of being a Works team in the sport. That's why, a Mercedes, a Ferrari, maybe not so much an Aston Martin at the moment, but why they invest the huge amount of money to have that extra margin. Yeah, Red Bull now as well, of course. You're basically spending a lot of extra money to hopefully find a few more tenths, but that's kind of the perk.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole point of F1, isn't it? To go the fastest. So, yeah, I think McLaren are probably throw the toys out the pram a little bit because obviously they've been Constructors' Champions 2 in a row. But this is the deal when you're a customer, I think.
And it's also, I think people kind of forget that McLaren winning that as a Mercedes customer is arguably really the first time it's really ever happened.
Yeah,
As
I
a
guess
proper...
Red Bull.
But I'm literally thinking about that. Of course, Red Bull still had a huge Renault team that worked with them.
They did. And yeah, I guess... I mean, they were back in the 80s and stuff. Engine manufacturers didn't really compete. So the year when everyone was a Ford, apart from Ferrari...
That was in the 70s, yeah.
Yeah. There wasn't a Ford team per se, so I
No.
guess all of them were customers.
Exactly.
But, yeah, it's definitely the first time in the modern era. Because even Brawn were like Mercedes' only big shot. I guess McLaren was still there, weren't they? Brawn would be a good example then, I guess. And arguably Red Bull Renault in 2010, because Renault were still on the grid.
But of course, you've got to remember, even with Brawn, of course, Mercedes then was starting to give him a bit of extra stuff, because obviously they were planning on buying out the team for 2010.
Yeah, it is rare. But yeah, McLaren and Williams are probably going to be excited to copy whatever Mercedes is doing with their battery deploy because it'll make them go faster.
Yes. Yeah.
So yes, Ferrari, your team, and apparently my team now, based on round one, they're bringing the flippy wing to China.
Yeah. Wait, I don't know whether
Which
this
is
good
going
or
to be
not.
fun.
That's definitely
Well, yeah,
getting put in for qualifying. They end up like 16th and 18th, and then it's getting removed.
Well, put it in for the sprint session and then take it back for the real sessions.
Yeah.
We will see. I don't know if it will help, but it'll be funny. So I'm here for it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it looks quite cool. I'm sure we'll see 14 different videos about it as well, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
I will probably be 2 of them. But, you know, all good news in the world. Jamie, do you want your quiz?
Yes.
I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to keep it friendly. I'm going to keep it exactly just how you like it. Now, I did actually mention to Jamie pre-show I had planned on doing him a bit of a different quiz, but what I've learned is Shanghai's not that interesting a race in terms of stats and things. It's not fantastic. You don't seem to get many oddities and things like that here. So you have simply got to go backwards and name me every race winner in the correct order, because obviously with it only being on for just over 20 years, you should be able to get all of these, I reckon.
I don't know about that. Okay, let's be quick here.
If you get one wrong, of
Piastri,
course it's over. Correct.
2024. There was a race, yeah, Joe was in it. And that was when he started celebrating after 3
You're qualifying 9th.
This might be idiotic. I'm just assuming it was Max.
It was
Verstappen.
Max.
Okay, I don't remember anything about that race.
It's because nothing ever... Either the Chinese Grand Prix is the race of the season or nothing happens.
2023, did it happen?
No.
Okay, 22 and 1 and 20, it didn't happen.
No.
19 was F1000.
It was.
Which we've probably got to F1 1200 now or something. No, not that many. It can't be far off.
And McLaren, I think, is celebrating their 1000th race this weekend.
It was Wait. Yes, it was Valtteri Bottas.
And that's incorrect. You got 2 points.
Is it?
It was Hamilton.
Did Bottas ever win the Chinese Grand Prix?
No.
Oh my word!
The
that's
Chinese
horrendous.
Grand Prix has only ever been won
sure?
by world champions or Australians.
I'm positive that
Rubens
Bottas
Barrichello.
won that race. Was he on pole?
I don't remember.
I've messed that right up.
Yeah, you have. He was on pole. He did 31.5. And he got pole by 200
And
of a
Hamilton
second.
led every lap.
And Hamilton, took the lead off the start and just controlled it from there, basically.
Well, never mind.
Jamie got 2
I could've
points
gone
on this
quite
week's
far.
quiz. Could have, but you didn't.
Yeah, fair. Well, never mind.
Bodes well. Ready for predictions, I guess?
Yeah. Should we get into it? You're winning at the moment.
I am.
Because you put George Russell pole and win, which is a free.
I was half a second away from starting the year with a perfect score.
And an overtake. Hamilton was never getting past Leclerc.
I could have. You never know.
I am going to go first. And
Yes.
it's a sprint race.
So there's an extra 2 points available.
There are. So I'm going to say George Russell wins the sprint.
Okay.
George Russell gets pole position. George
Okay.
Russell wins the race.
Okay.
I'm going to say Charles Leclerc comes second.
Okay. You really hate Antonelli, don't you?
He wouldn't have got second on a normal race. He's just got lucky with
Wouldn't
the
he?
safety car timing. And I will say Max Verstappen, third.
Okay.
He won't have an engine failure. He won't have a failure in qualifying this time. Hopefully.
Okay. I rate it. Can you just put those in the chat so I know what I can't say? So I'm going to say then, for the sprint win...
Remember Lewis Hamilton won the race.
He did win the race last year. That's why I'm going to say Andrea Kimi Antonelli.
Brilliant.
I'm going to say Leclerc pole. I'm going to say... I can't obviously say Russell to win, I guess.
You know there was 0.8 of a second back to the Ferraris.
Yes, I did. I'm going to say the Chinese Grand Prix winner, because I can't say George Russell. I am going to put... You know what? I'm going to say it. Andrea Kimi Antonelli.
First ever race win. That's bold.
George Russell second. Charles Leclerc third.
Right. We shall see. I'm quite confident about that, but I've also been really boring. So
exactly. You've also not said Antonelli will get a podium.
Yeah.
And I've said Antonelli's going to win.
He wouldn't have got one in Melbourne if he didn't get lucky.
Fair enough. Have we got
anything
anything
in the
else?
comments.
Yeah, let's know your predictions down in the comments below. Have we got anything else to add, Jamie?
I think we've smashed it.
I think we've rattled through everything we wanted to.
Yeah. I don't see any breaking news on Twitter, so that's all good.
Wonderful. Of course, obviously, if we do get any breaking news, Jamie and I'll start doing 10-minute episodes of just flash stuff here and there. I would like to do some more daily F1 or motorsport news, but I don't think Knowing Wheel would be the place to do it, because this is just for the F1 fans mainly. And obviously Jamie trying to explain how GT3 cars work.
Couldn't tell you.
Thank you all, as always, so much for listening, though. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, drop us a follow. Obviously, these podcasts are still on Spotify, they're still on Apple Podcasts, everywhere else you could possibly want them as well. And Jamie and I will be back then, I believe we said Tuesday next week. It's going to be a slightly late one, because I think the first time ever on this show, Jamie's moving where his setup is.
First time ever? Yeah, maybe.
Is it the first time ever you're moving back to somewhere else?
Yeah, it definitely is. I'm back in an old setup from 2023.
There you go.
So looking forward to it.
Oh, please don't say it. We're literally going to be in for a 2023 season, aren't we? Except for it's going to be George, not Max. Looking forward to that. Like we said, though, thank you everybody for listening, and we will be back with the Chinese Grand Prix review.